So, hello everyone and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So we are on our 22nd show and I'd like to thank everyone who is joining, who is watching in the now or in the future. I really appreciate your feedback. This became a vision of mine last year and it's kind of manifested into reaching more people, speaking about my truth, hearing other people's truth as well, which is very important. So for this show, I'm joined by Nalinee Diosara. So I'll just get her in. Hope everyone is okay, nice and comfortable. And if you're here as well, just please let me know. That I'd really appreciate everyone's feedback as well. Hello, hello. It's just hello, hello.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yay, yay, yay. How are you
We're
doing?
on. Yay. Still, still hanging, still rolling.
So how's things been for you?
Honestly, oh, intense, eh? But it's a beautiful process of growth at the same time and beautiful process of surrendering. This few days has been a bit of, okay, more of a nice breath and able to retreat and to reflect upon deeper stuff. But yeah, I think it's just been intense since last month, and I'm pretty sure for many as well.
Yeah, and so
And you?
it's been so going back to the start of the year, we had the lockdown and we had all the kind of everyone locking down. Then now it's going to the point where the cases are rising again, so we're kind of going have to probably be in lockdown Christmas time. So for me, coming into the Lionsgate and all of the eclipse which happened during that process, that was for me it was very kind of purging in a way because I was kind of faced with a lot of inner stuff because I had to still be on lockdown, I had to still have restrictions in my own life. So I was really shown a lot of stuff I needed to work on during that process and during that time coming in. So how was it for you going through the Lionsgate? We shared and we did a ceremony during the Lionsgate. What was it like for you going through that process? Because there was some very potent energies going on at that time through the Lionsgate and the
I don't remember. Honestly, my head is now day by day, and it's because at this moment I'm in the process of Tresena journey, 13 days journey of Mayan sacred calendar, where I work with people in Australia and people in Guatemala, which requires me to wake up at 2 and 3 a.m. every morning. But it's worth it. But my head just like day by day. If I have to reflect back now from the Lionsgate, August, September until now, it's just been okay. August was really challenging on my physical body. However, in the country, things didn't spark up like this month. This month we having protest, which it puts me into a place where I'm not taking sides because my family is in another side and my cousin family that we live in the same land in the same area taking another side. So it just puts me in the middle. But I see this movement protest in this month that happening this month is a positive thing because things needs to change and change is part of growth. August was quite rough on my body because I just came out from a long treatment of autoimmune and my energy level was really wobbly. And then in September, a bit settled down and family issue rise that I I would like to say that I did my best of going in and trying to rescue the situation. And just last week, things showed me that I can't change people. And that's just really humbling, but at the same time, painful, not easy. And it's just put me into that deeper, again, that deeper realization that even though within our heart we want to heal our loved ones, or we want to kind of carry them and assist them, but there's a fine line between interfering with their soul part,
Okay.
interfering between their personal choices, and it just puts me into state on, okay, I let you go, I let you guys be how you are, and I have to really tell myself that my choice, the way of living and how I am, even though other people disagree, it's just I can't do anything with it. This is me. This is me walking my destiny.
So let's go back a little bit into that process, because that for me has been a big part of my journey as well. So how do you kind of discern about why is it important not to step on people's journey, and kind of realize that there's only so far and so much you can do as a person, especially to family members. It's hard with family because they're so close to you, but how did you have come into that realization that it's so important not to step on someone's journey, and you cannot change people and they have to do it on their own?
I've been warned about this a few years ago, back in 2018, of there's this old archetypes of warrior, old archetypes of savior that we are transforming. The savior within us that always want to help the world and save the world. And we now know that it's not about that. Because in the center of awareness, in the center of core of consciousness, we are the one who experiencing this reality, and other people too on their own path. And when it comes to family member now, it's just so difficult, because even though we're not doing anything, we're not taking action, we just be there sitting next to them, we can feel them deeply. My dream would be synchronized with other family members during the intense time, and I feel the emotions being purged, anger, jealousy, fear within the house. And up until the point where it gets really violent and aggressive. And I feel that the more I try to pull, it just gets more intense, and the rope getting thinner and thinner, and this fine line of me and other people breaking down along the situation. But rather, in order to maintain balance and harmony and learning and integrating the fact that there's a difference between empathy and compassion, it's very much like, okay, I hear your choice, do what you want to do what you see fit. I'm here where I am. And it put me into a few days of questioning myself. Am I being selfish? Have I done enough? You know?
Yeah.
Am I really just living in my bubble? I really don't like when people say that. but that's how they see it, and I can't help it. And I sat with it. I'm like, nah, there must be a balance. If I can't sleep, if I'm constantly having nightmare, panic attack in my dream, and if I'm constantly feeling tired, that's not on. That's not on. And there's probably a higher lesson here that is beyond the logic and reasoning that my mind can judge. That what my human self in this moment of time can perceive, and whatever the choice that my father has, whatever karmic cycle that my father, my mother, my sister, and my relative have with one another, I feel that I have to question myself whether it is for me to play into the cycle. Is it for me? Is it mine as well? And I sat and I'm like, no, I have my path, and my path is quite clear. And if in the future comes a situation where I have to go in and play the role, yeah, I'll do it. But at this moment, it's just get to the point where there's no point of fighting fire with fire. I just have to step back.
So going into the process of family and childhood. So why is it so important to heal the relationship with the mother and the father? Because for me, going into the drama, and when I do get entangled with drama, it's kind of like the universe just throws more drama at me, and I can become really ungrounded, really unbalanced, and I can go into polarized state as well. And it's like you say, fighting fire with fire, you're only going to attract that kind of negativity and the drama towards yourself. So why is it important to do that inner work of really, like you were saying just then, it's kind of like you're unentangling from them, observing them, still loving them, but not choosing to go into charge with them and them drag you down. But you're learning the sovereignty skills where you like, I have to be a bit selfish in my own spiritual journey. Everyone does. We have to stick the middle finger up to a few people who are stepping on our journey, so to say, and you do have to get a bit annoyed and pissed off. You're a human being, and that's the tendencies we have. So why is it important to have these, Nalinee, the doing the inner work and understanding sovereignty in the relationship with your parents, your family, and why is that so important for everyone listening?
It's us maintaining balance and harmony, eh? Why is it so important? Again, it comes back to that web of reality, how our greater consciousness sits in the center, and we are actually experiencing this. Our family are mirrors, our reflections, our figures that is part of what we agree to experience in this lifetime. And a choice of me realizing that it's best for me to step and not to play in, because I had to reflect back to all the works that I have done, all of the reconciliation that I have given to my higher self, myself, and also understanding how my father is, understanding how my mother is, and how everyone is in my family dynamic in my own ways, and kind of grow out of that and leave them as they are. And that kind of put me into state of, okay, I can give myself permission now not to play in, not to get myself attached into playing the sense of me being right and them being wrong, or them being right and me being wrong. However, just leave it as they are, and not trying to play in. And that's, to me, is maintaining balance and harmony. That is another level of, again, compassion, of allowing everyone just to be as they are. Yeah, sometimes we can judge them negatively, but when it comes to integration of what you said, you know, the state of being in integrity, being in the highest state that you can be, at time no action actually play the loudest part. I'm a work in progress. I know that I still have underlying anger, underlying fear of what's going to happen next, and perhaps that is also the best, that I retreat and work inwardly rather than playing in a game of projections. And that is another important point, because with family we can it can trigger deep automatic response, deep automatic projection, that, you know, I'm like this because of you, you like this because of me, and that's oh man, that nah, no more. No more, eh? And I didn't do that, but however, the guilt of me being who I am and them not being happy and I'm being happy with my path kind of play in my head, and I need to sit, and I receive a message from my guides and my ancestors. I had a chat with them with the presence of cacao, candles, and a little ceremony to myself, and I got a message that it's just, I have to learn to walk my path and embrace peace, joy, happiness, regardless of other people's approval at time, regardless of how they may judge, how they may see. And I feel that that is us removing the hook peacefully. Yeah.
So it seems like there's a deep connection with what you were talking to the inner child there, that there was so all these relaying feelings of when you're entangling the drama and the karma. It's kind of like, for me, I feel like my inner child, sometimes the habits of my inner child, the neglective side of myself, comes out when I'm in the family, and I kind of like, there's that side where I have to literally tell myself it's okay, I'm a different person now, I don't have to play victim mentality, or there's all these little triggers which come out. So going to the inner child, how does it connect to the inner child then with what you're saying?
Well, I did tune in, and there was a lot of fear. Like she really felt shaken and threatened by the whole situation. And I feel that this also connects with what's going on in the country as well, where younger movement, indigo energy is now saying, nah, it's enough, it's not on all the whatever propaganda or the bullshit that we have to go through. It's the same reflection, same ripple with what's happening in the family. And my inner child I just needed to visit that place of part of myself feeling not safe, feeling insecure, and me sitting in that space, being the space holder for myself, which is not easy. For some reason, holding space for others is just fun. It's like, yes, this is what I meant to be doing. But when you hold space for yourself, there's a lot of knot of ties that you have to go through. But this is a process of self-mastery, isn't it? I definitely took the whole thing as, okay, the universe is preparing me something, the universe is teaching me something. This is another level of me being humble, going down on my knees and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm surrendering, Excuse my French, but yeah.
and there was,
I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, it did. So for me, like on my own personal journey, there was a big part of me which is still coming into play now. It comes down to control, and it's control of like ancestral karma, which I've got from my family and my past lives, not just my family. I've got it from past lives as well. So for me, like you were saying, it's okay you're holding space for others, but I've been in the exact situation lately where I'm having to do this inner work and deep reflection where I'm like, right, I have to go into the meditation flow because I'm doing the meditation practice 6 days a week. Then I'm looking deeply into it and I'm thinking I'm not actually reaching stillness and accepting universal stillness and not having thoughts in my head and not being the teacher or not being the person facilitating everything. So there was a big side of me which was the control side of me, which I had to really look at and go, hang on a minute, I'm doing all this, but I need to walk my walk and do my talk of what I'm saying about like having the inner silence. And when I was doing the meditation before, it felt like there was this deep connection to the universe, because when I dropped the mind and the mind completely cleared, I could feel the stillness again, and there was no control needed. It was just going back to that source energy and not having the need to ever control. So why is it important, stillness? Let's talk about stillness for a second, and why is stillness so important in our lives to reflect and to connect to the universe?
Well, especially in this moment of now where humanity obviously going through great change. Like you said, there's a lot of highly polarized views of what should and shouldn't, and that can also reflect in our personal life as well, because everything is echo, energies, everything ripples. And when we get into the space of stillness, surrender, and just, okay, I know nothing, let me just go deeper, let me just acknowledge that control, acknowledge that fear, and let go. It's acts like what I'm seeing now is very much like a stream of river that flows between the extreme two polarity. And when we're in that stream, stillness is not really absence of movement. We're still moving, we're still breathing, but we just align with that flow of current of the river where it carries us without us getting caught into any rocks or any whirlpools. So I guess if I have to define stillness, it's very much like in a flow of effortlessness. And that effortlessness is us being mindful of delusion of control, which has to do with old warrior archetype within human consciousness, within us. And yeah.
that reminded me of a t-shirt I got from Greece, which is classic t-shirt. What it said, it was had some Greek language on it. It said, the only thing I definitely know is that I don't know anything at all. And it was
yeah, it's a first step of wisdom, because when we shout out loud, whether in our head or in our physical voice, that I know nothing, and I embrace that, we actually let go of heaviness of trying to make sense, insisting on that fiery head and drop deeper into whether the womb space, whether in the heart space. Yeah. First step of wisdom, knowing nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so important to know, go through that process of not knowing everything, because a lot of people are so get an obsession with content and get an obsession with learning new stuff, and they could learn so much new stuff they forget about the basics of their spirituality and the basics of going within and being still. But they're always looking at something for instant gratification or something to give them that dopamine release of kind of like, oh, this is new, instead of going really deeply within and having a look inside.
Yeah, it's same with gluttony, eh? It's how like we just never satisfied our craving, but it's a craving of knowledge, but lack of, like you said, stillness and wisdom and integration. Yeah, definitely.
So you were talking about as well the detox you were doing. What was the detox you were doing, which was during the Lionsgate process? You said you were doing something.
Well, this also connects with the whole collective energy. I I went into healing crisis just before Thailand went lockdown. I purged a lot of fear. I went through almost a month of not being able to sleep, eczema breakout head to toes. I didn't know what's going on, and I went into liver detox and it didn't help. And when Thailand went into lockdown, I then shift into another doctor who understand what I do as well. And she's like, I think you have autoimmune. And I, what's that? She's like, well, just give me some blood and I'll put it in the lab. So turned out I have autoimmune, and from February until August I was on steroid. I resisted it. I'm like, no, you know. But then it's again that middle path.
Yeah, yeah.
That middle path between, okay, I live in Bangkok and my body is off Bangkok. It's probably used to a lot of chemical stuff. And it respond really well to steroid. It's like, a few days, eczema gone down. I'm like, geez. But yeah, it really disrupt my body rhythm, my adrenal gland, my sleep, and I stopped steroid at the end of July. And after the Lionsgate, my body rhythm was just like I couldn't really do anything. My head was just really foggy. I have to sleep a lot. So that wasn't really the detox during the Lionsgate, but it was me coming back into my normal body rhythm. And I too had to go through that slight mode of fear of, okay, will I be able to do, to perform, to present myself, to do what I want to do again, because I was really, really tired all the time. And then my body showed me that it does recover.
It does.
It recovers,
really
yeah.
of the body.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how Nalinee, how do you get yourself, so from with everything you're doing, you're a very busy person. How do you kind of, what process do you do to have the energy to be able to maintain that? A lot of people, a big issue with a lot of people is maintaining the energy and maintaining the self-discipline. What's your schedule and discipline like? How do you maintain that into your life? And for people listening, to help them to learn about discipline and how important it is.
I have to first send my gratitude to my client and people who I work with. They're really generous and they're very patient. Thank you so much. First, it's about resetting emotions. It's about knowing when you get into that heat of anger, heat of frustration, or being drained, being tired, and you still want to push forward. No, come back, rest, surrender, accept that. First, accept that you're not well, accept that you need rest, accept that you need more food, or accept that you need less food, whatever it is. And take note with that fear that comes up, because in our society we've been taught that illness is sickness is absolutely to be avoided and suppressed. But my journey in Amazon, ayahuasca, and Kambo and other medicine really taught me that sometimes sickness is a process that our body needs to go through. And it goes hand in hand with being mindful with the mental reaction and also the emotional, underlying emotional situation that's going on as well. For example, I was able to unlock my relationship with autoimmune is that I need to be mindful with my defensive mechanism, because I had fear of being judged, and it projected out in me defending myself without me really knowing. And autoimmune kind of reflect that back to me, that my overprotectiveness, defensive mechanism is actually harming my past, harming myself, and that's autoimmune to me. So in order to balance the schedule, at this moment, what I do is that I would tell my client, okay, they would receive their session in this week, and within that week, I would leave the rhythm really fluid. For example, Monday I wake up, if I'm really tired, okay, perhaps I can catch up on Tuesday, perhaps I can do a shorter session today. So be really flexible within your routine really helps. And I sleep a lot at this moment. I eat a lot, perhaps a bit too much.
We all do.
Yeah, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, I've been going through, last week I did my colonic. I'm going through a set of colonics at the moment. Can you get colonics in Thailand? Is there an areas to many places
Yes,
to do that? Yeah.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never done that. My friend has.
Yeah,
my
that
friend
really
but
changed a lot for me. That so colonics, for everyone watching who's not familiar with colonics, is basically it's called hydrotherapy, and you put water, so you get the tube and you put it up the rectum, and you have someone massaging the stomach and the gut. And I went through a process 2 years ago of having 8 straight colonics back to back, and on the foot. The first one, I was just stood there and I was so tight, I was like holding on, my arms were crossed, and she's like, you're not going to release everything because you're just holding on to it. Then I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. On the 5th, I was in pain, and it was like an overwhelming pain in my stomach, and it was all father issues, and all the matter which was stuck in the upper colon was all there, and it was coming out, and all of this anger and resentment and fear and crap was just coming out of me, and I was like, I felt open, and I was like, my dad.
yes, what you said in sync with my experience with the frog medicine in Amazon. I remember my second journey after I purged both in at the same time, top and bottom. Bucket and toilet are your best friend. I lie there looking at the sky, looking at the trees, and I'm like, I understand it's not easy being you, Dad. And then I'm like, that's such an odd connection, like the muscles down there with control, with that masculine energy. And after that, I don't really have constipation anymore. I had constipation since the age of 15.
Yeah.
Up until 3 years ago, I finally understand. Has to do with control, has to do with masculine issue. Yeah, and it has to do with the father side. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big thing for everyone. For me, it was father. I just had this, like, the world was on my shoulders all the time, and it was all my dad's fault, and my dad didn't love me, and that's the process I went through, where I had to forgive him. I love him, and for who he is, he knew no better, and there's no blame on him at all. And for everyone watching, and that's so important to, if you're on the spiritual journey and you're doing all of this great work on yourself, look at your family and look at your relationships with your family and your friends, and that tells you how much work you need to do, really. I kind of put my back up when I was awakened in like 2012 or 2011, and I was like, right, I don't want to know my family much anymore, I'm kind of on my own journey. And it's gone back in the full circle where I'm like, I need my family, I appreciate them, they're my ancestors, and I love them dearly, so I've slowly come back round.
Yeah, it's something that we have in common regardless of culture. Our parents' generation and grandparents' generation, they have certain kind of burdens and certain kind of, I don't want to use the word karma much, but it seems so relevant now.
There's so much of it going on.
Yeah. And and at time we, because it's that process, like you said, we had to resist it in order to find ourselves, in order to find our feet and who we are, and then come back to them and say, okay, it's not easy being you. I get it. I love you. We learn to live with one another somehow.
I'm turning into you, so I forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Like,
And so
because, yeah.
you go, sorry, Nalini, you talk.
Yeah. I just want to share a bit like how I'm half Thai, half Chinese. My father's of Chinese side, and Chinese culture very rigid, very, very tough, very rigid. They don't really hug. They don't really say "I love you." And I guess growing up from that generation is so hard to love yourself. It's so hard not to be so conditioned and attached to status, material, performance. And yeah, I guess I feel fortunate to be in this generation where I can witness the new wave and also the old wave.
So
Yeah.
what's your feeling on everything at the moment with what's going on? What do you feel with potentials of the world? It's interesting to hear everyone's perspective. A lot of people think we're going to have people, the world awakening tomorrow, which I don't believe is going to happen. It's going to be a long process, a very long process. So what do you feel is going forward? What do you feel the potentials are of the Earth at the moment and what she's going through?
Um, I just want to say that we are all kind of heading towards the parallel dimension of Earth that reflect how we present ourselves, reflect how we react, reflect our vibration. So if someone believes that they can shift into new Earth tomorrow, and if they can do it, but honestly, where I am and from what I'm seeing, it's that huge lesson of a don't try to do it all at once. Be mindful with that. Be moment to moment rather. I feel that this shift in 20 into next year to come to be us getting more comfortable. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We had a bit of an interference.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just
Okay.
fine now. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. We're back, I think.
It's probably my internet.
You kind of had a bit of a moment there, a bit of a
Okay.
system moment.
Yeah, so I feel that is life is gearing us into be comfortable with change. I think that we mentioned this in the last interview how our comfort and resistance to change is not sustainable. Or maybe it's in another talk. But yeah, I think that I mentioned that
Yeah,
before. And there's still a part of me, I have to admit, that fear of what's going to come next. And I feel that this is a collective thing as well, that we still purging and transforming that side of us. So I agree with you, it's not going to be rapid. It's not going to be like, boom, we shift into a different dimension and we're there. I feel that if we do that, we're missing the whole point.
yeah,
We are missing the whole point, the whole process and lesson of that transformation of learning, releasing, growing, learning and releasing, growing and surrendering. So I feel that we are just gearing up and be comfortable with change, be comfortable with being appreciative with little things that we already have, within our lockdown, within quarantine. Yeah.
and it's even looking onto the internet and Facebook and everything. There seems to be so much polarized thought, especially in America. The elections coming up, so there seems to be so many people ingrained into everything what's going on. It's so important to switch everything off, and let's talk about ceremony and the importance of ceremony, because ceremony for me has changed my life, and it's given me a big deeper awareness to myself and awareness to the universe. So why is ceremony important, Nalinee, for everyone who hasn't done any ceremony before?
It's a permission slip. It's a portal. It's a gateway. It's it's very much like here. Let us create a space. Let us make an hour or a day or week commitment. We're trying to control what we are playing, and into that portal of connection with spirits, with ancestors, with parts of ourselves. And of course, with elements, fire, water, air, earth, what element that the ceremonialist is working with. To me, is the plant medicine. To me, it's connection with ancestors. Yeah, and I'm grateful for that. I feel that in this moment of time, ceremonies coming back and coming back now, and it's been confirmed with my journey in this moment of time, working with an elder, a Mayan elder from Guatemala, and it's such a blessing for them too to be able to carry on this tradition and to be able to work with the sacred calendar, who they don't even know who created that sacred calendar. And for us now to be able to be what they say, ambassadors and branches that spreading their tradition into weaving in this modern world and say, hey, this is what we've forgotten. Hey, we can speak to plant. Hey, we have ways to speak to Mother Earth. We have ways to speak to the fire, and that's what you do too.
Yeah, and there's that the going into that process of being witnessed. You talked about this on the last show, how important it is to be witnessed as who you are, and everyone to have share their own space, and everyone to be that sacred witness. For me, it's kind of like when I go into ceremony, it's kind of like I go into a no time field where the Roman numeral time can't interact with my no time, which I'm in universal space, and I'm creating with the universe, like you say, speaking to the trees, speaking to the ancestors, galactics, whoever wants to present themselves in the ceremony. But it's kind of the disentangling, isn't it? And this is the service to self-ascension, if you want to call it that, is about disentangling from the system, disentangling from the time, Roman time and fraud time, and going back into this galactic calendar and universal sync, so to say.
Yeah, and I always have to give my gratitude to Cacao, because my journey started off with Tambo and then ayahuasca, but I'm glad that I'm working with Cacao, not ayahuasca, because Cacao is gentle but very powerful, and it opens our heart, and then it brings us back into this, okay, there's an unexplained bonding that we have. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up.
And so you've been looking, and I've seen you've been doing a lot more in stuff into shamanism and kind of the traditions around different parts of the world. Do you want to speak a little bit about that and your journey of what you've been going through lately on that part?
I guess there's a part of me that's always seek a reflection of a permission that, hey, that you are the space holder, you are the shaman, even though the title is not quite necessary, but it's very much like there's a part of me that still seek someone passing the passage of right. And I'm being mindful that at the same time what I seek is already in that process within me coming out. This year I follow my intuition and follow the 13 number key. At first I looked at Tibet, and then in late August, universe guided me to look into Baikal Lake, Siberia shamanism, and that build deeper connection with the drum for me. And then the universe guided me quite quickly from Siberia shamanism back to South America, to Guatemala, or the land of Mayan. And 2 days ago, I received a one-on-one reading from Tata Walter, Mayan day keeper, and he said, I can see you a white witch. And I'm like, I prefer the term shaman. And he laughed. He's like, that's your challenge. That's your challenge. And I'm like, I know it's a personal process, of course, of me redefining what a witch is, or what herbalist is, or what a shaman is. Yeah, but every time I get to do this, there's always a sense of gratitude and perhaps a bit of tears shed. I'm sure you resonate. I'm sure you had that moment of, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Finally feeling universally loved from every part of all directions.
Yeah.
And it's so true what you say about shamanism, because the word has been so kind of, I'd say, polarized, because humans like to it seems to be every single word after a while changes its meaning. It's like shamanism, being a shaman. If you class yourself as a shaman, you're kind of putting yourself on a pedestal above everyone else, and you have to have the right to be a shaman. I don't call myself a shaman at all. I just like to be known as Dale of the Now, and I'd like to be an ancestor spirit, and I'm an ancestor. We all are, and we share that common moral code of our lineage and being in the blood, being in the body. So it is so funny when coming into terms and coming into words. But going back to that reading you had, so it feels like you're kind of looking more into the oral traditions which have been passed down, instead of everything kind of reading books, different books about things, or watching someone on YouTube University, what they like to call it. And so you've kind of gone to that oral tradition. And why is it important to have the knowledge? And it connects to our ancestors as well. Why is it important to listen to those who've had the knowledge passed down?
Oh, it's just that fine example of everything is out there on internet, but you have this instinctive knowing that the information there is not quite right for you to download into your vessel. And that was my relationship with Shokil, the sacred Mayan calendar. There are 3 calendars, and this is one of the 3, the sacred Mayan calendar that links with Mayan cosmovision. It's been about 2 years that I try to look online, and it just spins my head every time I try to read. And I'm not a very strong reader anyway. And the lady who organized all this and connect us with Mayan Daykeeper in Guatemala, she said this kind of medicine is best carried from people to people, and I agree.
Yeah.
And it comes back to that oral tradition. It comes back to that magic when something is being said rather than written within the structure of rigid grammar and rules. It's very different when you receive it from a person and when you read it from internet.
Yeah.
It's so different. Yeah.
And it's like you say, the integration process, isn't it? When you're listening to someone orally, it's differently taken into than someone saying it online. And that's the beauty of it, going back to like the Native American cultures, the Cacao tribes, and the ancestors of all the areas. Their traditions were passed down, and it's so beautiful. Like I do a lot of research into the Cacao tribe, and who were a Native American culture who had 13 grandmothers on the council, so they were overseen by 13 grandmothers. And when I read the material and I listen to the people talking about their traditions, it really fills me with so much illumination and so much authenticity that I'm sometimes overwhelmed. I'm in tears listening and reading to the information, because it's so organic and it's so going back to that natural way. And so oral tradition's so important to hear that.
It's beautiful. And what you spoke now, I feel very strong midwife energy. That's so beautiful.
And there's some of the things I've listened to, and one of my dreams is, I can't remember how you can do it, but apparently there's someone out there, when the kids are older, you can be adopted for 2 months by some Native American cultures. And so you give them a donation, they fully adopt you spiritually for 2 months, where you live the way they live. And that's something which fascinates me. And for me, because I'm a father, one of my things, like sometimes I look to when I'm going to die, I look to the future and say, would I be happy if I died now with what I've done? And one of the biggest things which inspires me is passing my knowledge to my children and doing ceremony with them and showing them the way. And it just fills me with happiness, thinking that passing the oral traditions on is part of our legacy and what we're meant to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was thinking the same thing, whether I'll be happy dying tomorrow. I am. It doesn't mean that I've achieved everything and I've unlocked every lesson. No, but I guess that I'm fulfilled for now. And whatever come next, I can experience in another life.
Yeah, I'll do for
Yeah.
that. Next life is all right.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't
Take a
put the
break
bad
and come back, whatever.
life.
My husband said he would love to come back as an element or as an animal. I'm like, yeah, an animal would be cool.
I feel a lot of connection to an animal, especially whales as well. I do feel like I've been a whale once in my. I think a lot because I do past life regression a lot. I've heard so many stories about so many people being whales before.
I feel that we all have that shared connection, deep, deep love and deep bonding with whales. To me, I've heard this from other channelers as well, that they are moving Akash, that they hold the records, and to the Native American as well, that they are record keepers. And to me, they again, that midwife, that nurturing, that mother-like energy. Yeah. I almost picked up a whale to hang up, and then I changed my mind. Shouldn't change my mind.
There's a video I've seen about a whale just singing to a lady when she's laying on a board, and you can hear it just singing through, and she's just laid on this board floating, the whale's just underneath doing the noises, and some of the whale noises are so, it's like a universal code, or it's kind of like it's so different, and it crosses all the oceans. It's so potent. I'm gonna have to start downloading more whale noises. That's inspired me to do some meditations with some.
I've seen on YouTube, there's this really big bass flute that is mimic the sound of the whale, but really, really huge.
Oh wow!
I'll try to find it and send it to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard that about them being the record keepers as well of the planet, and they've got so much ancient memory. And it's funny, we're talking all about how important it is to go to the natural way. So what's your view on dying then and death? What's your process of dying and death? And for people who have going through loved ones dying, what's your take on death?
There's different layers of death, just like different layers of experience that we have. There's also this death of leaving the body, the end of the functioning of our organic body and our essence move on. And there's also different layers of death of consciousness, death of egoic personalities. And this is layers. It's not like one have ego death and the egos die forever. No, it's not like that. It's very much like the death of a personality and new personality is born. Also, in the core of everything, death is simply a process of transitioning. Recently, I've been going back to that state where I was deeply depressed, and I remember I stepped outside the window on a 22nd floor and looking down. I still get a chill thinking about that vision, and I'm so thankful I didn't jump. I'm so thankful I didn't let go. I'm like, thankful. Something pinched my shoulder, and there was no one home at that time, and I'm like, okay, there's something there. But now, am I scared of death? I don't know. I guess there's always this automatic fear of how I'm gonna die, but do I care how I'm gonna die? Not really. not really,
I was watching
I'll be happy.
About I think it was 2013 or around about the area where the tsunami hit Japan, and there was so much death on that process, and afterwards everyone just kept seeing ghosts around, lost, trying to find, didn't know what happened. Have you come across any experiences of passed on loved ones in your journey who you've spoken to or have asked for your help in any way?
Not my loved ones, not my family, but what you mentioned also is a tsunami energy as well that hit Thailand, Indian Ocean, 2005, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, all ages ago. last year we went down to this island down south of Thailand in Andaman Seaside, the side that faced India. And we woke up. My husband like, did you feel something last night? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they're just passing through. And then we went onto the beach and had cacao early in the morning. And in meditation, some of them came again. And I never really look or search for ghosts or spirit to pass.
Yeah.
I don't do that. But when they come,
yeah,
it's like, okay, I'm meant to transcend something. So ask the landlords, the guardians of the land, my guys, just to open the portal and hear. If they choose to go, they can go. And then I step back. None of my business anymore what they choose to do. That's remind me of another experience I had. The first day that we land in Iquitos, a town a few hours outside Amazon, I was kind of energetically attacked by a dark magic that I needed to sit down. And I didn't even like to use the word spiritual attack or anything. But it was potent, and I need to sit and ground myself, and held an obsidian in my hand and just let him go. And I saw this spirit of a vivid face, a shaman face, came in my sight and then disappeared. So this kind of thing happened, and when it happens, it's just for us to act as a portal and pass, remind ourselves that fear is not needed. Fear is not needed, and just let them pass.
And it's interesting. So what's your traditions of your culture about death and people passing on? Here it's kind of like a lot of people think that's the end, but for so many different countries it's a different process. What's it like where you're living when people die? Is there a kind of awareness of the culture knowing that they live on, or is there anything like that?
It's very different as well. I'm probably not the best advocate for Thai culture because I grew up abroad for 20 years, but what I can say is that from many people that I've talked to, even my uncle who prays every day, who follows and study the Dharma and prays in front of Buddha image every day, he said, no, I believe that everything ends when you die. That's it. Everything is gone. This is just an experience that you're experiencing, and when you die, it's gone. But if I chat with other person, like my aunt or my friends, they would say, no, yeah, I believe that there's this karmic belief that we're still going on and pay our karmic debt, so on and so on and so on. So I feel that even though we share same culture or even similar religion, there's still always this individual definition that one has towards what death is or transitioning is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And that reminded me when my gran passed away 2 days after I had a dream about her, and I was in a past life in Egypt with her, and I was sat by the side of her, and I looked round and I realised it was her, but she was young and she was smiling at me, and we just saw this, like, it was kind of like a wheel, but it had loads of geometry on this wheel, like, and it was like had loads of different lights on it, and that was a big part of one of the most potent experiences of loved ones I've had, where I was literally dreamt with her then on the night, and we were just walking around talking in Egypt, and I woke up and I was like, oh, she's still here, and that gave me the happiness and kind of helped me with my own mourning process.
That's beautiful. Like, I feel my ancestors all the time. I feel my great-grandmother, my grandmother all the time in this house. And it's a good thing. My mom always gets scared when I talk about it at first. Now she's like, okay. One afternoon she woke up from her nap and she said, I saw everyone in the living room. I'm like, yeah, they're there. Why? Why don't they pass on? Are they is something keeping them stuck? I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. It's just a facet of their soul showing us that they're there with us because they love us, so on and so on. And she's like, oh, okay. But I feel protected. I feel supported when I can see them, when I can talk to them, when I can feel them. Yeah.
Beautiful. And that's going back to why the ancestral connection from the oral tradition is so important, because you truly embrace your family lineage, you truly embrace your DNA in your body and your memories and the people who've passed on behind you, and it's so important to have that honour. For myself, I do like an ancestral offering to the lands where I make a soup and I put prayer and energy into the soup and I offer it to the front garden, the back garden, as my appreciation for the ancestors. And it does feel sometimes, because there's so much angel teachings out there about angels, galactics, but the galactics, the galactics want us to honor our ancestors because they are ancestors as well. They're the ancestors, and they've been ancestors on many different worlds.
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful. I've recently been asked what my offering. My offering would be flowers, and also when I drink cacao, I would pour a bit of cacao under the tree and say, "Here, divine spirit ancestors, come drink with me." That's my little offering.
Oh.
I have to build fire more though in my backyard. I have to build more fire and have a chat with fire, not just candle. Candle's nice, but fire is different.
So before we close the show, is there anything you've been wanting to share with us, or anything you've been picking up of late which we haven't talked about you'd like to talk about?
No, actually, in regarding of talking and sharing, I feel that we cover everything that's in my heart. So thank you for being so fluid and allowing for me to share my personal experience. I can share a bit of light language to close.
I was thinking, should I ask her? I was like, how can I say it in a way that you don't ask, but you kind of like give her the option? Can you do it?
Yes, I can. So just breathe, and I'm welcoming Shakapa, wind of the jungle. This one is very old Shakapa. If you see pictures online, very fresh. This one's grandmother. So just inviting everyone, including the listeners, find your comfort space. You can stand, lie down, or sit, doesn't matter. As long as your spine is straight. And inhale. Exhale. Allow your focus to be simply with each breath, profoundly and deeply. Let us offer our breath, offer our presence, hearts, to the energy of the lands where we are, to our ancestors who are always holding space for us. Offering gratitude to Mother Earth and to her heart. And to the sky and heart of the sky in all directions. Most importantly, the direction within us. Mani sayana sayaho Kirataya suamani Natuya suoranianata Tianania savu Tiana saya oma Huyani yosu So breathe. And thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's an honour, sister, and from me going through that process of the light language I was greeted with choice, which has been going a lot for me at the moment. The choice to heal or the choice to not heal, and how collectively everyone's faced with that choice. Do we heal today or do we not? Do we do the inner work or do we not? Everything's a choice, and that's beautiful. That brought me back into my awareness, and everything's my own choice, and for me to manifest my dream and reality as well.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Thank you.
I'm going to give my... Yeah?
Sorry, I keep seeing cubes as well. For some reason I keep seeing these strange little cubes. I'm like, what are these cubes about, universe?
That reminds me, because many people, including me, see cubes in ayahuasca ceremony, and it's kind of a geometric pattern that can birth from flower of life. Because when you vision flower of life, any geometry can come from the flower of life.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank
I
you.
keep seeing it, I'm like, I really want to kind of have a feel what this cube means. It just keeps popping in.
Perhaps ayahuasca?
There we go, yeah. There we go. See you soon. So, thank you everyone for watching this week's Talking Stick Show, and Nalinee will be back, I'm sure, at the, where are we now? We're in October, sometime summertime. We don't know. We'll go into the unknown and let the unknown be unknown. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on this week. I really appreciate you, Nalinee. I really do.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You have a lovely day. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.